everyone. My name is Laura Sirikul for Timid magazine, talking with the wonderful cast of the CW's Kung Fu. Kung Fu is a reimagined revival of the 1970s series of the same name, and now starring the Shen family, a Chinese-American family in San Francisco. Our heroine, Nicky Shen, along with her friends and family, battle mythical forces and your everyday threats in the city. Now in its third season, Nicky and the Shubi gang battle to save the city and the world once again. I'm here with Nicky Shen herself, Olivia Liang, Eddie Liu, who plays the dashing and also magical new Shubi gang leader, Henry. Shannon Dang, who plays the tech whiz turned PI and now undercover spy hero, Althea Shen. And Ben Levin, who plays the misunderstood bad boy turned love interest turned baddie, Bo. So welcome, guys. I'm so excited to chat with you guys about this series and what's been going on with everything. You know, with this, Olivia.
What are we going to see in this finale? We're going to see somehow every single storyline like cross and become one, because there's so much going on this season. Each character kind of has their own journey that they're going on, and they all collide in the finale. I don't know how the writers did it. Could not be me. And I will say that I cried so hard in a scene in the finale that my contact popped out, and I was blind for the rest of the day, if that's any indication for how emotional things are going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want
There's going to be a lot of action. Yes, a lot of tears. And I think the writers do a great job with planting seeds for each of the characters and storylines that foreshadow what's to come if we get a season 4. So,
any hints from the guys? Bo or Henry?
I was just going to say emotional damage. That's
drama.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, drama, magic.
And trauma.
Drama
Twists.
and trauma.
Twists and turns. How's that?
Yeah,
That's pretty good, right?
You're going to see a lot of splitting off and everyone doing what they do best.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited. I can't wait for everyone to see it, but I'm going to dial it back to the very first season where it all began. You know, with Kung Fu being the first predominantly Asian cast series on network drama television, it set the tones for many shows going forward on what Asians could be and our range, you know? And I was wondering what the impact for you guys being part of the series, reflecting back, now it's been 3 seasons.
I'll say that I think season 1 we were super stressed because we were the first, and it's very scary to be the first, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to represent well, and we kind of shouldered the burden of like, if we don't succeed, maybe Hollywood will just say no to the rest of the Asian projects afterwards. But that was way too much pressure to put on ourselves. And by season 2 and this last season, like, we were just having fun, and we were just actors who get to be on a TV show, and we just happen to be Asian. So us being like the predominantly Asian cast on network TV, like, that's not our focus anymore, and that's not what defines us anymore, because we have had a successful 3 seasons, and I think it goes beyond representation now, and it's just like people are entertained by us.
I feel like where we started, hearing that box, first Asian cast network, blah, 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 blah. Then I found myself at times putting myself in a box and playing my idea of what I thought was expected of me in how to do my job. And like Olivia said, as we went on, you kind of shake that off, because one, not only is it an impossible task to take on representing Asian America on TV, but also it's just not helpful to the artistic creative process. If our goal really is to represent well, then our goal is to remove any kind of box and confine so that we can do our job, so we can play these characters truthfully, so we can execute this story so that it can be dramatic and fun and adventurous. And so I've seen myself go through the progression of removing myself from the box, and then just having fun, like Olivia said. Because I think the best way to represent is to not stress about that and just do you. And that's what we're all striving for.
Shannon, do you have anything regarding that as
Yeah.
well?
I echo exactly what Olivia and Eddie said. I think we've gone through waves. Like season 1 was, the pressure. And then season 2 was like, oh, we've got this. And now season 3, we're just having a fun time, a fun show. I think the audience has been loving it, viewers. And I think this journey of being all 3 of this, like the pressure, okay, we have a well-oiled machine and now we're just having fun. I think it's really rewarding to like look back, hindsight. And I think that's probably one of our, at least for me, one of the my favorite parts about being part of the show is it's bigger than us. And to know that everyone is watching it in multi-generational families, I feel like we've made an impact that I'm really proud of.
And Ben, you're coming into season 3, and it's been 2 seasons already with the cast, and it's setting the tone. And you're coming into this as a newcomer, coming into this family. I was wondering how it was impactful for you, also embracing, your Asianness too.
Yeah, well, yeah, you stole my line. I definitely came in season 3 only, and but I've been supporting the show since the get-go. Truly, just even when Olivia first got the audition, I feel like I was sort of aware of what was going on. So I think I was really rooting for the show from afar since the beginning. But I totally love what you 3 just said about it. I think it is, it's moved well beyond just trying to represent something, and now it's sort of free to fly. And yeah, for me, it was just like such a joy. I feel like I've said this a lot. I know you 3 have heard me say this, but yeah, I feel really lucky and grateful that I just got the chance to kind of play out there with you guys. And yeah, it's extremely meaningful to get the chance to have this show just exist and hopefully continue to exist. Separate of the milestone of being the first all Asian show. I think that's something that in itself feels dated and part of a time I hope is we've moved past.
No, definitely. And with the theme of the issue being Reimagine, I thought it reflected perfectly with this series of Kung Fu. It's essentially a Reimagine revival of the series of the yellow facing casting, kind of redoing the problem that they're fixing. And I was wondering what Reimagine means to you in terms of the series.
I feel like in TV, you often see a lot of different kinds of tropes, a lot of patterns, a lot of formulas, mostly because they work. Like people love watching Law and Order and cop procedurals because the wheel works really well. So with those kinds of shows, there's no need to reinvent the wheel sometimes. With our show, I feel like we've really relished in the opportunity to hint at what could be a trope, subvert that, and then take you down a new road. And I feel like getting to play somebody like Henry is so fun and rewarding because the trope is, in the past, he's either usually just a kung fu guy or he's just a library nerd who's just really smart on a scholarly level. But then in our show, we get to just smash those together and just be like, well, he can be both. And it just goes back and forth, sometimes at the same time, and sometimes one at a time. And either works for the story. And so we come in and we just come and do our jobs and we can reimagine. I'll take Althea, for example. Usually a character who loves fashion is not given that actor isn't given the fun and the joy of also being really smart and really great at technology and hacking and all that stuff. And seeing Shannon get to dance with both and being like, I love fashion, I love expensive things. Oh, I'm really awesome and I kick so much ass doing this technological stuff. And so us getting to reimagine that, I think is just opening up so much opportunity for richer, more fun storytelling.
It is quite fun.
And what does it mean to the rest of you? Like, that you said that beautifully, Eddie. And like, I was wondering for you guys, with the reimagine of like Kung Fu and just like, what does it mean to you guys too, as well, Olivia or Shannon and Ben?
I think for me, I guess not in terms of the show, but what being on the show has helped me in my personal life as well as professional life. I getting to play Nicky, I'm already outside of the box that I had put myself in, because when I started acting, I was ready to play the lead's quirky best friend. I was like, that's my bag. Like, that's where I'm gonna be, and I can't wait for that. That's how big my dreams were, and so I guess I have bigger dreams now because I'm already outside of the box that I had placed myself in with this show because of this show. I really never thought I would lead something and get to play so many, like I'm like, oh, I want to be in a rom-com. I want to be in an action thing. I want to be in like a very dramatic thing. And then I realize I'm looking at Kung Fu and I'm like, oh, I get to do all of that within this show. Like I get rom-com moments with Ben and Eddie. I get obviously action, then I get the family drama. And then, so I guess it has helped me reimagine what my career can look like.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, I'll just piggyback off that. I feel the same way, just, especially with this character, but in general too. Yeah, I felt, limited growing up with what I thought I could play. And I think this show is giving all these characters such dynamic moments. And that in itself is just such a beautiful thing. And then selfishly, I've been making music under the name Grasshopper for many years at this point, and it was loosely based on the original 1970s Kung Fu. And so to like flash forward now, and this was even before this iteration came out, and then now to get to even have some of my music on the soundtrack with the assistance of Olivia helping, assist me on that layup there. That's just been like, that's the reimagined world that I could have only dreamed of. So that was just some very concrete happenstance that I feel lucky about. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like adding on to all of them, everything I feel like is a reimagining. It's reimagining of our lead and our families and our characters and our relationships. And I think it being the first already was like a reimagining, things that, haven't been already put out there. So what would it look like if these things were on TV or happened? And I wish I had a show like this growing up, and like the fact that it started with Liv as, the hero that was reimagining already, I would have been like, oh my gosh, that's so cool to see. So to have that done in the whole cast, and for us to be that maybe like experiment, I don't know. I think it definitely leaves an impression of like what else can be reimagined and like more storytelling from there. So I think it's really cool.
Well, given the steady popularity of reboots in recent years, some have noticeably brought something new to the table, like adapting from their original premises to tell diverse stories. For example, One Day at a Time was reimagined to feature a Cuban-American family that tackled issues on immigration, racism, homophobia, mental illness, and more. What are some ways that Kung Fu, the series, has reimagined to resonate more to not only Asian Americans, but to the general audiences as well for you guys?
I think just first of all, putting us front and center. We're not the side character. Yes, we have side characters within the show because that's how storytelling works. But everyone here, the characters that we all play, we're all fully dimensional. I'm not even going to say 3D. We're just fully fleshed out people who deal with the same kinds of problems that everyone else deals with. And you're just seeing it through our lens. So that POV right there, that sets the tone. That starts everything else that comes with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that we're not just to show that Asian people enjoy watching, because then that would defeat, I think, the purpose of representation and inclusion and diversity. We want to invite people into our homes and into our story. So like the cultural aspects that we weave into the show, hopefully seamlessly, will just introduce something new to people who may not be familiar with it. And, we don't have to hit him over the head with it, but it's just there. And like Eddie said, we're just existing.
Well, the series really does talk about Stop Asian Hate, and I really appreciate that. The sexual assault, trauma, mental health, and also like homophobia, because families, like when dealing with Ryan's coming out to his family. And I was wondering if there's anything particular that really touched you throughout the series, and any topic that came up that you're like, I really connected with this story. And it doesn't have to be about Asian, but it could be Stop Asian Hate, but just the stories that you guys have been through for the past 3 seasons.
For me, there's two really peak moments as it pertains to that. I feel like seeing the way Kang played the nuance and those little moments we had back in season 1, we had that episode where we're talking about race, especially between the relationship between Asian America and Black America, and seeing her be almost cold and standoffish. And at the onset, you almost kind of think, wait, does she not get it? And then as Mei Lee talks about her history, and you see that, wait, there's a history here, there's a human experience here. She is fearful. She too had her own human experience, and our show, the writers gave her that moment to talk about her experience dealing with racism. It just to me, it's like, oh, this is what it's about. We got to talk to each other, we got to hear each other. And it's not that she was, it's not that like, oh, she's a racist Asian mom, that's a very real thing, unfortunately. I just so appreciate that the show gave that character to that moment to be just really human, And then also when Ryan came out, and then hearing Jin talk about just straight up apologizing for not being there for his son, and just being like, we didn't know how. And just to hear an Asian parent say that on TV, I was like, this is, that's that's not my experience per se, but like, it was just a beautiful human moment.
Well, because it's fresh in my mind. Well, first off, I think my favorite stuff to watch on the show would be the family drama stuff, often, which I haven't been really part of as much as an actor, but I just feel like that is the beating heart of Kung Fu, and I imagine that's a huge thing for Asian families and non-Asians alike to experience and to sort of witness real family dynamics that who happen to be taking place in an Asian family. But I don't know, the moment that touched me a lot recently, and again, it's just because it's fresh in my mind, was after Nicky kind of realizes what she's done to my character, and kind of is struggling with that sort of the rage and then the guilt she feels, which I think Olivia's kind of beautifully performed. I felt like that moment has just been stuck in my head. That last scene between you and your dad. I think that's just a moment that is powerful, and bravo to you, Olivia, for really like displaying that. So yeah, I don't know if that was just a moment that's been resonating for me.
Something not as specific that stood out for me was just how much this show embodies and empowers females. And you see that in so many of the characters, whether that be from like Nicky, who's a strong, brave warrior who's fighting for justice, or you see that what does a mother look like in Mei Lee, and how is her version of strong, and then the Shifu and Jilan and Althea. And I think it's really nice and to see so many different ways of being a strong female. And it's very empowering. And I walked away from this show, not up that we're walking away, but the takeaway from that, I just feel very empowered and inspired.
Good.
And Olivia, for you, like there's so many storylines that Nicky goes through of finding herself and then losing herself and then finding herself, and trying to figure out what her place is in the world. I was wondering if there's any of the stories that throughout the series, not only for Nicky, but throughout the series, that affected you or impacted you.
All of them, I feel like, not only from like all of the the women characters, but even the male characters, like what they go through, their struggles with identity and with finding. I think everyone's trying to find their place in some shape or form. Like there's the episode this season where I got to see it the most, where I was like, oh, I'm learning so much from each character, was episode 3 when Nikki and Henry meet again in Thailand. But it wasn't even the Nikki Henry moment. I was watching like Althea needed to figure out that she had more to offer than tech, and she needed to learn that lesson. And then Jin needed to learn to get out of his comfort zone. And then Ryan needed to learn to, you know, make space for somebody else. And I was like, whoa, I'm just learning so much from all these characters, and it in very like mundane ways too. It doesn't have to be like a big purposeful story. It's just, that's the beauty of getting to play these 3-dimensional characters, is that they get to be like, I need to step out of my comfort zone, instead of like, I need to save the world, or like I need, you know, I mean, that's also in it, but getting to like be with these characters for 3 seasons and to be given full storylines, we get to see very human moments, not just like warrior moments. And so, but yeah, and then my life weirdly parallels Nikki's life, which is uncalled for. I'm like, are the writers trying to come for me, or what's going on? So I've like gone through life at almost the same pace as Nikki these last 3 seasons, and I've learned a lot from getting to play her, also getting to play somebody I'm not. Like Nikki's so much braver than I am, and she cares more about people, and she's nicer than I am. So
It's called
no,
acting, sweetie.
You're nice, Liv.
Thank you. Nikki's just a much better person than I am. So I'm able to learn a lot from getting to play such a strong woman as well. So yeah.
Well, you know, I touching on a little darker side, because you know, even though the series has been around for 3 seasons, and you know, it's impactful not only for Asian Americans, but it's a great story in general. People can relate with. It doesn't matter if you are Asians, but we can't get away from mainstream media of, you know, shows with leading people of color and LGBTQ led shows lately have been dealing with either cancellations or delays or a transfer of like powers within the networks. How important do you think it is for you to have a show like Kung Fu to exist, especially given the current political climate?
I think, yeah.
Incredibly, yes.
I think
Yes.
we've touched on it. We've touched on it a bit about how we went from like the first and like, ooh, to now it's like not a norm. Regularly, people who tune in and see this, it now becomes normal. So we're not that sprinkle of diversity that we need to like check off the box. It just exists. And so when things just exist, more other things can exist, and it's not so precious, I feel. And that's what storytelling is. It's not like we have to go through all of this stuff to hit so many check marks. We can just tell great stories. If it looks like A and there's B out there now, it's just a bunch of stories. I don't know.
I think it's more important to have people in power be more POCs in positions of power. Because I don't think the rest of us want to, when Kung Fu eventually comes to an end, hopefully not anytime soon, but when it comes to an end, I don't think the cast wants to jump on to another project and like be a part of the all Asian project again. Like then it just feels so like confining, and like it feels kind of tokenism-y. Because you know, like we can't exist in other places. So I think it's super important to have the people of color who are decision making, who are show running, who are producing, in order to tell more stories, and to include us more. It doesn't have to be all Asian all the time. So like, yes, Kung Fu is so important because this is a very specific story that we're telling. San Francisco, Chinatown, so it's going to be predominantly Asian, but it'd be nice to see, you know, in Succession, some more Asian people in Succession, because like they exist in that world too. So yeah, our show is very important in a time like this. But I hope that we don't carry the torch or the burden of like having to be the important show.
That's what real progress is. It shouldn't have to start and die with us.
Yeah.
Like a white-led show doesn't have to worry about that. A show like Succession, how nice it must be for a Caucasian person in America watching that. And they don't have to get upset by saying, this show doesn't represent me and my family. No, because they can change the channel and turn on something else that they can relate to a little bit more closely. And we can take Succession for just what it is, entertainment. It's not a dissertation on the Caucasian corporate family, and that's what we're all striving. That's what we're all striving for.
And the thing is, like, when I watch Succession, I'm not like, I don't see myself, like I didn't grow up watching the Disney Channel being like, where am I? I was like, I'm Hannah Montana. Like, I get it. She's got boy problems and she wants to like be a good daughter, and she also wants to pursue her dream, but she wants to be a normal girl. I'm like, I relate to Hannah Montana. She doesn't have to look like me.
She has the best of both worlds. Sorry, I had to say that. Had to say that. But yeah, no, look, I definitely agree with you guys regarding that. And because I want to keep the conversation flowing and a little bit more fun, we're gonna just have it a little bit more lighthearted. So because like Succession, we talked about that. Is there any Kung Fu crossover with any show that you guys want to have? It doesn't have to be CW. It could be still around or in the past. Is there a series that you're like, you know what, Kung Fu would be great to mingle with?
Oh my goodness, you're gonna break my nerd brain.
I'm biased, and I still hope for a musical episode. So, if I could take it down, if I had a choice, I would take it down that road, like Kung Fu and Glee. What? Would you not? Yes, I would.
Community center musical.
Yeah. I think a musical episode would be good.
Oh, I would love Kung Fu to be shot as a single cam comedy like Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. Hilarious. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That's a yes.
Okay.
Mockumentary style? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, I just thought of film noir. It'd be cool to see like, I guess there's, if there was some world where all of a sudden, the characters are operating in that sort of like black and white feel. I feel like that's
always raining. Olivia's got like a fedora on.
My God, you all clean up in those outfits. Jeez.
With like a
San Francisco needs me.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Olivia and I have joked many a time about how season 1 felt a lot like National Treasure.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. National Treasure season 2, give it to them, Disney. And then let's do a crossover.
Yeah, let's do it.
With Kung Fu season 4.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you could do it because, there's different universes and different places that you could travel within, because the mythical forces. So you can do anything, really. And especially with the writers being from Supernatural and different series, I feel like they could totally intertwine all that.
We just need Bob Behrens and Richard Speight. And we're already there. We're like halfway there.
What I want is to go to the multiverse and have Alyssa and Jed meet again.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is
From
still
Legacies.
the opportunity of our lives. Like we could have. Why didn't we get that blooper? God damn it.
I know we forgot to do a blooper of like the first time meeting, and then Ben going, Alyssa? You going, Jed?
I mean, is it too late? I guess so.
What we should have done was when Bo reveals himself as the harvester. He should have just turned from like a werewolf back into a werewolf. Bo.
Yeah. Or maybe to save budget, just yellow eyes. That's what Legacies did too, to save money.
Yes.
Just flash some yellow eyes real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an easy crossover.
And then Nikki casts like a warrior spell.
Yeah.
I feel like you could easily do Easter eggs from those little things. Have you guys tried to sneak Easter eggs?
No, there was a character named Alyssa Chang. She played she played the this sweet older woman who was helping clean up at the end of season 2, and she was like part of the community, and Jin and Meili were helping her. Her name was Alyssa Chang.
That's
Oh.
sweet.
Timelines. It could be her. Like
Maybe that's Alyssa now. She grew up to be a sweet old lady.
well,
I hope Alyssa does grow up to be a sweet old lady. I was very fond of Alyssa.
Maybe by the end of season 4, we jump across the multiverse and we end up fighting in everything bagel.
oh my god.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to something more fun to discuss that you guys are going to be ready because I ask my fun questions. We are seeing shows getting a reimagined spin on things with people of color and LGBT at the helm. One Day at a Time, Quantum Leap, Bridgerton, Doctor Who, and many others. I was wondering if there's a role or character for you guys individually or series that you would be interested in being part of.
Shannon's is Cheetah Girls. She just posted that.
Oh, yes. I mean, if they did a reboot of the Cheetah Girls, I am ready. Cheetah Girls, Cheetah Sisters for life. But you mentioned Bridgerton, and I always thought like, every time I watch Bridgerton, I was like, I want to be in this show. I have a brilliant British accent. They would cast me in Italy. It doesn't sound realistic. So just leaving that there.
She'd be great because she studied abroad in England for a couple months. So that right there,
I did.
Done. Don't even need to audition.
I did. I'm
That's
practically
the
British.
That's the universe you'd like to be part of.
Yes, I'd love to be in a period piece. I feel like it's really hard for sometimes Asian faces to be in a period piece that's not Asian aesthetically. Like people are like, whoa, yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that still needs to be broken a bit. We see it a bit in sometimes like the Asian cowboys on the Western Front or whatever. But I think it could go a stretch further, and that's a work in progress. So Bridgerton would be a good.
Yeah.
I want us all to be. I think we should all be British, because like the Brits take our parts. So why can't we hop in there and do their parts, I'd like to be maybe on like a Peaky Blinders, it's like a show that's got that sort of that aesthetic. That I think would be pretty cool.
You'd look good in a tweed suit there, dude.
Thanks, man. I've never gotten to wear a tweed suit ever, so that would be cool to do it on camera.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. That
I want the show. Oh, you go. You're not done.
No, I'll just get it quickly. Just while we're on the subject, I mean, my dream bucket list would be to do like a guest star on The Simpsons, because we know they're going to season 100, so I still got like a few decades. But if I can somehow, I could. There's a chance.
And Eddie, is there a role for you that you're interested in? Because we're seeing everyone. There's like we could be anything, and we could be anyone. So I feel like there's opportunities for us now because people are reimagining us in those roles.
Oh man. Maybe like Mr. Bean has like an apartment neighbor who's an American living abroad and just bumbling around England, like what is happening and trying to figure it out and miming his way through London.
Good choice, Eddie.
Thank you.
Yeah, everyone's picking a British or like a British or Australian. Yeah, British. Everyone picked a British thing.
Are we too colonized? Should we pick something different? We should pick something non-British. Okay.
Oh, we will.
No, because it's fun. It's the furthest thing of what we are normally doing. That's why we fantasize a bit and we want to reimagine it. We're not going to just go to like something,
Yeah, I don't want to redo Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior.
Oh yeah.
Although I'd be down. I love Brenda Song.
She is the best. But okay, so we have 5 more minutes. So I just want to go over, I'm so happy to chat with you guys, and I want to talk about how what Kung Fu means to you. I know how it affected you personally, but what can you tell us like exciting things about the finale and what that meant, that finale filming it. I know Olivia told us she cried, but what that meant filming that scene, for the last scene for you in the finale.
For all of us or for Olivia?
Ooh.
All of you.
Oh yeah.
What was everyone's last scene that they shot?
Oh, tell me.
Mine was with you. Olivia, mine was with you, I think. Was it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, mine was no. I remember our last scene, but that wasn't my last scene. My last
But don't spoil it.
No, I won't. No, of
Wait,
course
right?
not. No. Of course not.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No, obviously.
Yeah.
This show has been such an amazing opportunity for me to reconnect with my Asian identity. I grew up in a very white suburban area, and I pushed it away because I didn't think that that was something I could be proud of, but I didn't know how to be proud of it. The people, my classmates, my schoolmates around me, they're all Italian American, Jewish American, everything else. And so I wasn't with people who look like me, right? And then I went through all these things in my life. Like I went to Kung Fu school. I went to like a Shaolin temple in Queens, New York. I worked with senior citizens, and I did all these different things. I went to all these places, and then I come to start Kung Fu, and things started mirroring my past. And where I was at that point in my life, it just gave me this chance to like look back and be like, whoa, look at where you came from. This is great. And look at where you are now. These are all things to be celebrated and grateful for, So that's one of the many reasons why I appreciate Kung Fu so much. And my coworkers are fine, I guess. And I think for me, my last scene that I shot on my last day of work, it was just full of energy. Like I got to work with people I don't usually work with. I got to there's a key moment that Henry has something to do with that. Like for me to leave the season like that, it was just, I mean, I felt pumped up because that's kind of what I was doing in the scene. And it was such a great note to leave the season on.
Okay, let me echo that real quick because I feel a lot of what Eddie just said there. I think for me, it's been an awakening moment. I think Kung Fu has, helped sort of teach me a little bit more about kind of my roots, my Chinese roots. And, growing up in New York City, I wasn't raised with that much heritage. In fact, my mother's from Brooklyn. We didn't really know much about that side. And I think this has really piqued my deep curiosity and kind of burning need, the connection that I need to embrace now. So for me, like that's been the greatest takeaway from the past 5 months is getting the chance to feel that connection. I'm taking my shoes off in the houses now, which I didn't grow up doing, and that's something I'm really doing that. With the exception of right this second.
Hold on.
What? I know we tracked in dirt from New York City in my apartment. What can I say? Like this, we didn't know. Right, but now I know, and I'm going to become a very good Asian.
That is the most shocking thing you have ever said.
What?
I'm glad we're revealing things now.
Why is that shocking?
I don't even know you.
All right, this is how I know. Why am I not surprised? This tracks because it makes sense that you're not accustomed to removing your shoes at the door, because when I see you put your shoes back on when you leave like my Vancouver apartment, you literally sit on the floor like a child, like a schoolboy.
Well, there's no stool. You got to give a stool for a person to sit on. What are you
just take a knee? You just sit down like you're in kindergarten, lacing up. No, it's fine. I'm not judging, but I'm like, this makes sense. I don't want to crease my shoes. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so Ben's biggest takeaway from his experience with Kung Fu is now he takes off his shoes.
No, we're gonna cut that out.
I won't name names. I don't want to name names, but there is a person, the whole cast and some other people were invited over to my apartment, and there was one person who had kept their shoes on, and I couldn't bring myself to say anything about it. But I went around to the rest of the cast being like, their shoes are still on, and then them looking at them and being like, oh, are you gonna say anything? And I was like, I don't know, it's too late. They've already been in here for 10 minutes. I can't.
Olivia, tell me that wasn't me. That wasn't me, right?
It wasn't you, but I was like, how do I like subtly, do I just kind of like raise my foot and be like, oh, like, look there's no shoe on my foot. I was like, what am I supposed to do to get this person to take their shoes off? And it really hurt me. And then I had to mop my floors when they left.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, it's never too late to learn is my point. And then lastly, I just want to say that like my final moment was exciting, and it gave me a lot of hope. I guess I'll say that, but I can't really say much more than that.
And his eyes turn yellow at the end of the scene.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely a flicker of the inner werewolf for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Just want to make sure.
I think my last day was pretty bittersweet. I feel like it was just yesterday where, Liv and Eddie we've been together since the network and producer sessions and everything. So even back then, we had these like little kid moments, I feel like, where we're like, can you believe it? We're like in the next round. And then it would come to Vancouver and be like, oh my gosh, can you believe it? We're filming a pilot. And then we'd get into like season 1 and we're filming and we're just roaming around the stages and we're like, can you believe it? This is our job. So it like has done this, like, who picked us? Like, we're just these children and like, they're going to fire us at any moment. Like we've had so much of that, like, you know, like this, new blossoming, like excited energy. And I feel like over 3 seasons, it's really like ripened and matured where, you know, maybe, I mean, there's always imposter syndrome, but like you grow into it and you're like, yeah, this is our job. Like we are good at our job and we're here and we deserve to be here and we're going to make good work. And then the last like week of wrapping and you're wrapping up, but like we haven't been told if we have a season 4 yet. And it's right before the holidays. So I remember crying because everything is like every goodbye or happy holidays is loaded with, I hope this isn't goodbye, and no one wants to jinx it.
Yeah.
No one wants to jinx it and say like, they're like, oh, we'll see you again next year. We'll see you again next year. And you're like, yeah. And in your head, you're like, I don't know, but just in case, thank you so much for a wonderful season. So it's like a bittersweet of like, I wish if we just knew, then we could wrap and be like, yeah, see you next year. But like for me, it was very emotional, like a close. It felt like a happy yet closing chapter just in case for me mentally. But
I don't know. What a weird business.
Strange.
No,
Yeah.
Olivia, I know that you said you cried in your final scene, like for the season, like, and you're not going to tell me what it is, of course, but I was wondering, you know, what that meant for you to like film it, and especially since after every series, like season finale that you had, you said you've always had emotion also with Shalon and with Pei Ling, and you know, I was wondering if this one has the same impact or how it felt for you.
Oh, this one, no one's ready. Nobody is ready for this finale. It's my last scene of the season was with an unnamed character. I won't name who. And the last line that they say to me is literally "Goodbye, Nicky," and like that's how I ended season 3, which was like very meta.
Heavy.
But yeah, it's heavy. No, it is super bittersweet. We work in TV and nothing's ever guaranteed, and you can just hope that you get to keep telling this story if people are still eager to see the story unfold. I definitely think that there's so much more for us to do with the Shens, and the finale really sets up a lot of cool stuff for future seasons. So I hope that we get the opportunity to do it, but I also think that seasons 1 through 3 feels like one big chapter of a book. And I think it's a very satisfying and bittersweet ending to that chapter, which is setting up like very cool things for future chapters, hopefully.
Well, perfect. That. Thank you so much for your time and everything. And this cast is just, you guys are just amazing, and I love the series. You guys know how I feel about you guys. So thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. And I know it's a lot of thinking. We're gonna try to keep everything, especially the songs.